Hey everybody, welcome to Drive Thru Review 393. Today we're going to talk about Spyfall. Now Spyfall is a very unique game. It is a game that plays 3 to 8 players and it's very much a social deduction game. I'll show you how it works, but I'll give you a quick little explanation. Basically what you do is you have these stacks of locations that you're going to shuffle up, and then you're going to pull some cards out of there. One player is going to be a spy and everybody else is going to know what the location is. And you have a timer, usually 8 minutes. And if the spy can figure out what the location is before everybody else figures out who the spy is, then the spy is the winner. Otherwise, everybody else is the winner if they figure out who the spy is. So let's jump into how it works. It's very, very simple, and I'll tell you what I think of it. Okay, so here are all the components in the Spyfall. And you can see there's these various bags, these sets of cards. And these bags are very important. The game does come with the bags. You're going to shuffle up those bags, being careful not to look at the back side of them, because this is going to tell you the location that is in the bag. So in this bag, we have all of these airplane cards and all space station cards and hotel cards and so on. And there's always going to be one spy card in each of the bags. So here I've taken a bag, I've randomly pulled it out, I know what it is. But then now we're going to take the spy card, and then we're going to draw a certain number of cards. Let's just draw 3. The game actually does work pretty good with 3. So we're going to take those, we'll set these aside without looking at them, so nobody knows what the location is just yet. So we're going to go ahead and shuffle these up, and then we're going to deal these out to, let's say, 3 players. Okay, so everybody's going to look at the cards. So this player is going to look at this card, they know the location. And this player is going to look at that card, they know the location. And then let's say I over here, I'm going to look at that card, I don't know the location, I'm the spy. So now we can zoom in here and see the location. It's actually the day spa, and you can see I actually have a little role here as customer. Or you could have a different role, and I could be a stylist. Now you don't have to include the roles necessarily, and maybe the first few times that you play you don't actually worry about the roles. And then you pick a random start player. But before you do that, actually, let's take a look at the rules here. And I would actually suggest probably printing out a better list, because this can be a little bit confusing to look at. But here you've got all the possible locations in the game. So the rules say, and you should do this, go ahead and study all of those, because if you're the spy, you're trying to figure out what the location is, and you don't want to, after the cards have been dealt and through the course of the round, be staring at that, because everybody's going to go, well, he's the spy because he doesn't have any clue what the location is. So anyway, so somebody is going to be a start player, and then you start a timer. The rules say 8 minutes, but you could pick however long you want. You could do 5 minutes, you could do 12 minutes. And then some player, let's call it Billy, Frankie, and me, are playing the game, and then Billy's the start player, and then he says, hey, Joel, and he asks me a question, sort of trying to allude to what this location is, because he's trying to gauge if I'm not the spy and I know the location, but he doesn't want to ask it too specifically because he doesn't want to give away the location. He's not going to say, hey, are we at the day spa? Because then I'm going to say, stop the game and say, hey, everybody's at the day spa and I'm going to win. So that would be stupid. Now he could be kind of equally dumb and say, do you come here in the day or the night? And that might be a little bit dumb of a question as well. But then he might say, are you relaxed when you come here? You know, and that could be the beach, it could be the day spa, you know, it could be the nightclub. So you try to ask these questions. So now if it was the police station, you might ask the same question. Are you relaxed when you come here? And then somebody would say, oh no, absolutely not. And that will kind of mess with the spy. And that's one thing to kind of keep in mind of the game, is you will develop a metagame with this, no doubt. So let's say Billy asks me and I say something, and then now it's my turn to ask somebody else a question. I can't ask the person that just asked me a question. I've got to ask somebody else, and it keeps going around. Now at any point during the 8 minutes, the spy can say, I'm the spy and you guys are at the bank or the beach or the day spa. If I'm correct, then I'll score some points as the spy. If I'm incorrect, then everybody else will score some points. Now, if we go all the way through the 8 minutes, then the players have an opportunity, and this is actually different from the rules that I played with before. This is the new Cryptozoic version of the game, and there's actually a Russian one that was floating around. That was the rules I've been playing with it before. It's slightly different. It doesn't really make a whole lot of difference, I think. I mean, people can kind of look it up online. The way I play it is everybody just kind of has a discussion. The 8 minutes are up, and then we all kind of discuss who the spy is, because then they have to all vote unanimously. If the vote is not unanimous, then that person is not outed as a spy. Now, if it's unanimous and it's not the spy, let's say we sort of get together, me and Billy on Frankie here, and I've convinced Billy that I'm not the spy, and we vote for the wrong person, then the spy wins. Now, if I'm a bad spy, or it's hard to be the spy, frankly, I get outed, then I lose and they get points. So you can keep points. There's a little point tracker thing at the end of the manual. We usually just play it and then play it again, and who cares the points, right? It's super fun, and I'll go into the review now, but it's just a great little sort of social deduction game. It plays super quick, and we don't really keep track of who wins and loses. We just, okay, you won this game, you won the next game, we just move on from there. Okay, so that is Spyfall. What do I think of it? All right, I'm trying not to be hyperbolic, but this is maybe the game of the year for 2015 for me. Now, I know I already said Roll for the Galaxy, and there's another one, Dark Moon, is kind of competing for that. But this one is giving those a run for its money. This is fantastic. All the player counts, this works good. Very surprised first time I played this with 3 that it actually works, and it does work with 3. I would think maybe if you had like all new players, I don't know. That's in the back of my mind that some groups, if you had 3 only players, that might be difficult for your first game. But I don't know. Anytime I kind of it's weird about this game. Anytime I kind of doubt that the certain, like a metagame, or the metagame might get stale, or it might have that Dixit problem where you kind of like have inside jokes. If you've ever played Dixit, it's difficult to explain if you haven't. But you kind of do like these sort of keywords and cues and stuff if you play with the same people a lot. And I've talked with some people that have played this probably more than me, and they say that's a problem, but every time I think that's about to happen, it doesn't. And now I've had the opportunity to play with different groups as well, so maybe that's because they all play with the same group. But then it's just kind of like, to me, that's sort of a player issue in some ways. I don't know. To me, it doesn't have that problem at all. But I just want to make people aware that, maybe it has that problem, but you're going to have to play it like, so many times before you get there, I would expect. But this is great. Now, the one thing that's awesome about this game, the first few times I played it, where I was the spy, I hated being the spy, but not because I was like, I don't like this game. I was like, oh my gosh, like you get it, like, where you're giving a speech and you're naked, that kind of thing, or you come into school and you forgot your homework, or you come into work and you forgot to do whatever your job, like you're just on the hook, like your world is going to end. That's what it feels like to be the spy, because everyone else is not the spy, and they're going to be able to figure out who's who. So like the first time you're the spy, it's just like, oh my gosh, how does the spy win? But I've won as a spy more than a few times. So it's not that hard. It's like a confidence builder though. That's what it is. And it's like, if you wanted to use this for like a team building or something at work, or some kind of like, psychological thing, this would totally do it. Now, some people are not going to like that because they're on the spot and they're not going to have the confidence to carry on that spiral, because it's almost not like the lying thing, because you don't really ever have to lie. You just have to ask a question that you think is smart, like you think has something to do, but it has to be vague enough that people, don't think that you have no idea what the location is. Like, he has no idea what the location is. He's a spy, and they call him out like that. And I think I forgot to mention that you can do that actually during the round. You can say, oh, okay, let's stop, let's call a vote. I think Joel's a spy. As long as it's unanimous again, then they can call him out. I think I forgot to mention that. Sorry for that. But the other thing is, the other players that aren't the spy also have to be vague because they don't want to give away the location, right? So that dynamic, it's awesome. It's amazing. And I cannot recommend this game enough. I mean, it's one of these, like this one night ultimate werewolf thing, it's going to give, I don't know if it'll give that a run for its money, but it's kind of like up there close to that higher tier. It's really different. It's a really, really different game. Like I said, all the player counts works fine. I've seen some people that throw out variants of possibly having like 2 spies when you have 8 players and stuff. I could see that argument for sure. Sometimes you want to increase or decrease the time limit based on the number of players. So like if you're playing with 3, just do like 5 minutes. It actually works pretty cool, because then it puts you under the gun a little bit more. Because if you go on too long, then the spy is going to get kind of more easily sussed out, because again, it was the whole like language metagame thing. The people that know what the location is are going to start to develop sort of an inside joke. they have to be careful of that. That's not too revealing of an inside joke. But anyway, so it's interesting as the game sort of unravels that way. So anyway, I can't recommend it enough. And just a little side note, I recorded my top 100 videos like a couple of weeks ago, so this should be up Wednesday, and then the top 100 video is going to be up Thursday. And I make mention of that this would be in my top 100 because I didn't put any new games that I didn't have back then. So the timing sucks, but I'm gonna act like I'm gonna ruin my review. The words that doesn't make sense. At the time, I shouldn't have recorded those like so far in advance, but it's like, anyway, it's gonna be weird. It's not that big a deal, but as people are like, didn't you just review this yesterday? Well, yes, but I recorded this before that anyway. So there you go, Spyfall. This would definitely be in my top 100. I don't know where. I'm not gonna tell you where. I don't know where. I'm not gonna think about it. So there's that, but it will be in there for sure. Thanks.